moving to the final lightning talk and the topic of using low code and AI to future-proof your career. Paulo Tavares, Director of Developer Relations at OutSystems, will be your guide. Hello, Paulo.
Hi, Status. Nice to see you here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Jonathan and Meredith, for the insightful talks you just delivered. I suppose it's especially hard to follow up to Avatar Meredith, but I'll do my best. So let's start. So thank you for being with me in this session about future-proofing your career the low-code and AI way. My name is Paulo Tavares. I'm a Director for Developer Relations at OutSystems, a low-code development platform provider. For the next 15 minutes, I want to share with you some context, some perspectives, some insider details regarding these two exciting emerging topics of AI, low-code, how it affects developers, our communities, and our roles in developer relations. I'd also love to continue this conversation afterwards if anyone is interested, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or drop me a line at my email address, and I'm always happy to engage. So let me start by introducing myself in a bit more detail. I started my life in tech as a hobbyist programmer and playing video games on a ZX Spectrum at age 6. I don't know if many in the audience would know what a ZX Spectrum is these days, but it is a British manufactured computer that gained a lot of popularity across Europe in the 80s. I pretty much caught the technology bug from learning how to code by myself in BASIC, so much so that later on I went to university and graduated in computer sciences. After graduation, I joined OutSystems as employee number 27 back in 2004, as we were trying to change the way the world develops software applications. I worked as a software engineer, then as a consultant developing applications on OutSystems. We didn't call it low code, but it truly felt like sci-fi back then when compared to regular software development. I stopped for a year to pursue a full-time MBA, and when I came back to the company, I was more and more convinced that developers were the lifeblood of our community and ecosystem. So I made the strong case for us to create a dedicated community team, and I was the first official OutSystems community manager, helping build a foundation for many of the things we still have today. In 2011, I moved to Ireland to work for Google. So moving from a small company to a large company, moving from my country to a foreign country, but now immersed in a strong data and AI-driven culture. I worked on the trust and safety area of our consumer products, including Gmail, Maps, Google+, and Google Cloud. And my work for those 6 years involved pretty much identifying patterns and approaches to refine, update, and deploy newer and better AI and machine learning models for Google's products to keep our users safe. It was exciting. It was exhilarating, fast-paced, and I couldn't have asked for a better place to learn about AI. In 2017, I returned to Portugal, back to OutSystems, and this time around, I was pretty much all over the company solving different problems related to our developer experience. I did a bit of everything, from creating an automated chatbot on our website, back when nobody was doing it, to help our users find answers and solve their needs faster, to rebuilding our developer training and documentation areas into a single developer-focused group called Technical Knowledge, among other projects. However, home is where the heart is, and last year I found myself back at the developer relations space, as with so many changes happening in this space, there's really no better place to be than close to our innovators, our developers. So as developer relations professionals that we are, our biggest asset is the trust of our community and our developers. We have the responsibility of being equipped with the most relevant and up-to-date information so that we can have stronger relationships with them, better conversations, and provide them with opportunities to help them grow and elevate our communities and their careers with it. That's why I'm going to cover these two topics, these two transformational trends of AI and low-code from an insider perspective in hopes that it can better equip you and your communities. So what can you expect from this session? First, we'll go over this entire AI transformation that's taking place, what impact it has in software development, what this means for both developers and developer relation professionals of any technology. Second, we'll go over low-code development, what we're observing in our own community, what it may mean for all of us in the future. And then I'll join these two, and I'll discuss what I'm calling AI-powered low-code, what it can mean for all of us, for our developers, our careers. So I'll finish with all of these wrapped together so you can take 5 succinct points to take home afterwards. So let's dive into it. Let's start with AI, and starting with the most common and simplest use case we've been hearing about for developers. This is about code generation. Some of you in the audience might have heard your developers doing so. Some of you might have done so, but even I have used ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot in the last few months to generate code. I was learning a new language a few weeks ago, and instead of spending the entire weekend, I just interacted with ChatGPT for 30 minutes, and boom, it was done. It was impressive, I'll give you that. So not only can AI generate the code, it can also test, do code reviews, help developers improve the quality of their code by identifying potential bugs, security vulnerabilities, performance bottlenecks. Even in real time, you can see scenarios where there's a performance monitor monitoring code and then raising an alert when something goes wrong, and then an AI model can check what was being run at the time and generate new proposals for code that may run more efficiently and effectively. This is not as sci-fi as it might have seemed a few decades ago. And last but not least, AI can automate many of the repetitive tasks that our developers are involved in, such as writing documentation, doing code approvals, debugging, meaning that they have more time to have fun with your products, doing all the fun things in software development. A recent survey by GitHub actually tells us that AI for developers is here to stay. So there's not only strong demand by developers for AI tools, there's also a lot of demand by the industry at large for developers who are familiar with AI. So I truly believe that what we're experiencing right now in terms of the promise of AI, it's really just scratching the surface. And honestly, we are seeing it in our own communities, what our developers are playing with, experiencing, how they're trying to push the boundaries of what is possible right now, not only with our technology, but with using AI and connecting with all the other technologies around them. So let me shift gears to low code for a moment, and let me start at the beginning. So let me talk about the pace of change that our developers need to face with their main technology kit, their development language of choice. Since development languages became a thing, we've seen new languages be created to solve different problems or to bring additional benefits to specific use cases. We started with machine language, what's currently known as the first generation languages. And these are pretty much the binary codes that the different machines interpret to run things. You can think of it as the ones and zeros you see when you're watching Matrix. These are, of course, extremely hard to decipher and not very practical to build anything in a timely manner by a human. So second generation languages aim to solve that problem. So you got assembly languages. These were slightly more human readable than pure machine code, but they're still an abstraction of machine code tied to instructions that humans could write. So when you get to the third generation, we start to get a collection of much more human readable languages. These use a logical structure and syntax similar to human language, effectively, to reduce the amount of code our developers need to program to get the right computer operations to do the right things. This can include Fortran, Basic, C, Pascal, many other popular languages you might have heard so far. So last but not least, in my example, now we get to the fourth generation of development languages. Here, developers stop telling computers how to do things, but they start to tell them what problem to solve. So I think that's the exciting thing. These are more platform-specific languages, generally simpler to use than third-generation languages. SQL is an example of a non-procedural language used to query databases, but you have others for other domains, such as for data, for maths, for general development, such as OutSystems, even for graphic design, like some of our friends here in the conference. So when we zoom out, a few things become apparent. First is that while the first generations of languages are much more machine-oriented than the later generation of languages, I think the most compelling point is that we start seeing that as we evolved, we started moving from telling the machine how to do something to what problem are we trying to solve. The same way we raise kids. First, we tell them exactly the steps to do things. Later on, I tell them, look, we are trying to solve this. Let's make it happen. So if you think about it from that lens, then both AI and low code are just natural evolutions of this paradigm. They're another step towards being quicker at formulating the problems we're trying to solve. So the same way a developer in your communities might learn multiple languages and add them to their skill set, at this point in time, I would strongly encourage all developers who are serious about their continued career growth for the next 5, 10, 20 years to invest in adding knowledge of a proper low-code platform or more, together with experience with AI in different aspects, both in using it in their tools as well as in deploying models. Because the two together can have a multiplying effect for the work and impact that our communities can have and that we can support our communities to have moving forward. So the key advantages of AI and low-code are not really only the advantages that AI brings to software development in general, but really everything else that comes from using a higher level language, because it enables developers to more easily integrate with AI systems or rapidly deploy AI models and iterating on them. And that's really where the value is. These are some of the use cases that we know of right now, and that we at OutSystems see our developers and customers innovating on a daily basis. However, similarly to what I stated in the AI slide earlier, I also believe that these are just scratching the surface. What should excite us all is that whereas when working with a lower level language, AI is helping our developers in specifying the how to do things. In the future, AI can really be helpful in assisting how to formulate the right questions, finding the right problems to be solved. Imagine a future where our developers in our communities use AI to be their partners in co-creating things, using our products, our ecosystems, find the right problems to solve at each iteration, recommending approaches, and making it all happen seamlessly. That's what I believe AI and low-code can achieve together. And so what does this mean for your developers and your communities? Well, if history tells us anything, it's that early adopters of a new technology tend to get a head start on their peers and competitors. In the world of technology, being first can make a huge difference. By adopting new technologies early on, your developers can establish themselves as leaders in their communities, elevate themselves, and help your communities grow faster. We see this growth translate directly into our OutSystems developers' careers. While we established earlier that AI developers' careers are here to stay, we also recently updated our annual research on the career progression of OutSystems developers compared to other roles based on publicly available data from Glassdoor. So pretty much going to Glassdoor, searching for these, and getting the data. This clearly highlighted the tremendous demand for OutSystems developers in the market compared to a few years ago. If you look at the red line for US-based OutSystems developers and what they are earning based on their tenure, you see that they're on top, only being overtaken by native mobile developers when they reach 10 to 14 years of tenure, and sure enough, finishing in a comparable position to full-stack, back-end, and front-end developers. So practices that have been established for much longer. I imagine that AI developer will show up here sooner rather than later as well. So last time when we had done this research in 2022, OutSystems was much closer to mobile developers across all tenures, sometimes even lower. So we're surprised to see so much higher demand. It shows that both low-code as well as AI is rising in demand and popularity. So what's the catch? I mean, first of all, and we covered this, the awareness that we are at the early stages of this transformation. AI is still in its infancy, and we all, as developer relations professionals, need to be very much informed and aware of the challenge that it has. As Meredith was saying, its models are only as good as its training data. There will be biases, unreliable answers, security implications. But I do believe, however, that this is a short-term tactical problem, that in the long run, these problems will be non-issues. AI is also set to augment the experience of our developers, of our jobs as developer relations professionals in our communities. I don't think it will replace us, so I agree with others, but I think that it will change things fundamentally, and there is no turning back. So if you're not doing the best you can with AI in the coming years, you'll be obsolete. Furthermore, low code is also a very diluted term these days. The term has become such a hot commodity that you've seen companies pretty much saying that they're a low code or no code solution just because they offer some sort of visual interface. And I'll say the same I said in the slide with AI for low code. AI operates and augments within the constraints and boundaries that the technology creates. If you don't use AI with a powerful tool, you'll also not get powerful results. And last but not least, there's resistance to change. You see that in your communities. People are setting their own ways. Even myself, I didn't go all the way for an avatar Paulo to present this session, but I had to force myself to think, how can I use AI to help me prepare this session, how to do my day-to-day work? Otherwise, I'll just go back to the way I've always done things. So how can I encourage you to look ahead? First of all, we need to be the catalyst for our communities to explore and embrace these technologies. If you look at the landscape for any technology, being a single product developer no longer works. It's not a future-proof approach to their careers. Their skills will become obsolete. You should be the catalyst to help them embrace change, try things out, bring them back to their communities, and have fun. That's the exciting part of being in this disruptive technology. So If there's 5 things I wanted to remember today, they're the following. AI for developers in its infancy, it's only going to get better. Low code is just a natural evolution of software development, and developers are adding that to their skill sets to continue growing. AI will always be a multiplier. The better the inputs, the better the outcomes. As I showed before, for you, for your communities, for your developers, there's high demand for these skills, so you should make the bridge to help them keep growing and help them embrace these emerging technologies, whatever they may be. I know these are hard. I know our natural resistance to change is difficult to overcome, but I believe that if you are able to embrace these changes for yourselves and your communities, you'll be doing something great. And we'll all be excitedly rooting for you all, eager to see what you come up with. So thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. I know we don't have time, but my contacts are here if you want to reach out. I'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you so much. And thank you, Stadis, once again. Back to you.
Thank you, Paulo. That was brilliant. You can reach out to Paulo in the locations he mentioned, and hopefully also, Paulo, you will join the rest of our speakers and panel guests over in the DevRelX Slack channel for a discussion. Thanks again. And